Okay, what we're doing is, I've had a lot of people ask me about catching bait in deep water applications, and right now we're sitting in 23 feet of water and we're marking bait, but the issue right now, it's scattered and the tide is completely slack. So we're gonna have to do our little trick of putting the boat in reverse and keeping it in reverse to create a false current. As you can see here, it's scattered all over the place, and the reason why is because the tide is slack, and so they're spread all over the place. So I think with us chumming, that's going to bring them into the fray, and we'll be able to chum them up pretty easily. So what we're going to do is, the tide is actually going out, and we are going to set up on the up tide. So what that will do is, once the tide starts moving out, that will allow us to be set up correctly. And that's the key, is the bait is about 99% of the time always on the up tide side. So if the tide is going out, it's going to be on this side of the marker. If the tide's coming in, it's going to be on that side of the marker. So what we're going to do now is get set up. What we're using is Korean tropical fish food, 33%. And Jason can barely get his net in the boat.
I'm done. Probably had enough.
And what's happening is, this tide is finally starting to move a little bit, but still not enough. So what we're doing is, Chad's dropping the chum right here, and it's going underneath the boat with the current of the motor and pushing it out this way. And the bait has stacked up over here in that current, which allows us to get right on them.
The head console, you can't put a pull on the front of people's head. No, I don't have it. That one doesn't have the
Now I'm letting the net sink all the way to the bottom, and I can feel the bait fish thumping in the net. And there you go, just like that. And no, it's not as easy as it looks, because that's what Chad was just saying. For me it is, but for him, no. Chad, you want to throw the net?
Yeah.
Cut. Well, that just goes to show that you can come out and catch bait in deep water, but you're most likely gonna have to have chum to be able to do it. Trying to rodeo bait, as we call it, you can at times. Sometimes it's so stupid thick that you can throw the net and rodeo it and not have to chum or anything else like that. But I don't care who says what, chumming the bait will get it up. You just saw how we did it. Remember to always, today I was using a 10-foot 3/8 humpback, 1.6 pounds per foot net. Yesterday I actually used a 10 1/4 1.3 humpback net, which is a shallow water net. The reason why was the tide was ripping out, and what was happening was I was having to throw the chum way up in front of the boat, and then I was throwing the net and letting it go back, and I had about 60 feet of lead line on that net, so I could get that net to where it needed to be, and I was able to catch bait very easily like that. So just remember, certain applications at certain times, if the tide's ripping and you want to get way up and get that chum where it needs to be, then get way up in front, chum, and throw a lighter net and let it get down to where it needs to. You're going to have to throw with a lot more lead line or lead line and to get it out there. All right, folks, we're out here on another beautiful day. I hope I was able to teach you a little bit about catching bait in deep water applications. the nice thing is what it's looking like is this weather's going to stay in a very warm pattern for at least the foreseeable future. So water temperature on the flats yesterday was about 75, I think it was what I read. So I think within probably the beginning of next week, I've heard there's some bait on the flats already, but I think that they will really start showing up on the flats next week, because this weekend's supposed to be in the high 80s. So I think what we'll do is when bait starts showing up on the flats, we'll show you a demonstration of how we catch bait on the flats. And there is a technique to it. Yes, catching the bait on the flats is easier, but there is a technique to it. So we will definitely show you that. So if anybody has any questions about the deep water application, feel free to ask. I have nothing to hide. And you know, hopefully our explanation was good enough. But now we're out here fishing. Chad's putting on a clinic. We're not even in the minor feeding time. The minor feeding time's just after 10 o'clock today. I can't remember the exact. So, well, he's putting on a clinic with 10-inch grouper.
It's a baby.
It's a baby.
There you go.
So anyway, so I'm gonna get a little bit more educational on our videos, because that's what a lot of people are asking for, or saying that they like about our channel. You know, we talk about what we're using, why we're using it, how we're using it, how we set up, and I can't say enough of the different things that we do, the techniques. For instance, right now, the bite really seems to be on cut bait. I put down a live bait, I got one little bump, and that was it. So cut bait seems to be the ticket, but I guarantee by the minor feeding time, these fish will be eating anything that we send down. So today we've got three different types of baits on the boat. We have pinfish, spadefish, and whitebait. So let's see how it goes. This is the second fish today with the line.
Yeah, pliers. It's one of ours.
What was it?
It's a yellow one.
Oh, it's one of yours. Nice one. All right, Chad, show me the shirt. There you go. There's Chad's. What is it?
Fish more, catch more. My jig rabbit.
Now you can buy those shirts right on our website. We have them up to 3XL. I think we're going to get more colors available, but right now we have the white that has the logo on the front, and fish more, catch more on the back. It's just another way to help support us continue to do what we do. And what else? Oh, we're coming up to a minor feeding time. It's 10:30. Minor feeding time starts at 10:38. I said, yeah, 10:38. So pretty anxious to get that going. We just put a really nice snapper in the box. You just saw that nice grouper. So we're just waiting on that. The moon is actually getting ready to set. It may have, yeah, it may have already set or very close to it. So that's what's causing that minor feeding time. That gravitational pull from that moon set is what causes these fish to feed on those minors and majors. Okay, what we're doing is I'm using the Stewie jig and a 3/4 ounce, and I'm hooking that bait like you typically would on the flats, right in the nostril, right in that hard part right there. Let's see if I can put them down and catch a fish. Now that the camera's running, probably not. Get him, get him. Oh, that was a good one. Now I really want to get into this, and when I'm talking about they marked the bait, they marked him right on top of the head and they made his eye pop out. If you can see that, what's happening is that once they put that mark on that bait, they typically don't like to come back and eat it. Now, I'm not saying it happens every time, but I'm throwing this one in the water simply because I know that they're probably not going to eat it unless they're really fired up. They typically will hit it, and if they don't take it, they won't eat it again. So keep that in mind when you're bottom fishing. It happens all the time on our boat when we have people with us, is that they'll have a tendency to just sit there and wait because they felt the bite, but they're waiting for another bite and it doesn't come, simply because that bait fish was marked. On cut bait, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they mark it or not. They usually take it. But That's another thing too, is if you're down there fishing and you're not getting, let's say that you throw a piece of cut bait down there and you start getting hits and all of a sudden no more hits, don't wait to check your bait, because most likely they took your bait, because if they're hitting it pretty quick and they stop hitting it, they took your bait. So you want to stop that time of being down there with no bait. That's the key, is having bait, is catching fish. So always remember that. Oh, doubled up. Tony's on the bottom. Ooh, look at that snap. Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's a hoss. Jeez, oh Pete. Look at that one. That's a snapper right there. Oh, right up. Well, as you just saw, Chad caught a really, really nice snapper. I think that thing was 21 inches at least. And we are right now in the start of the minor, so we're gonna see how this goes. I just lost a fish on live bait. See, these fish haven't been real keen on eating live bait, but as soon as that minor got on, it was like that. And we've been catching a lot of small fish this morning, and then that first real big fish came right on the start of the minor. All right, what's happening is a lot of people probably have heard me talk about how the tide is coming in underneath, and it's really hard to describe, because it's the tide midway down is actually coming in, and the tide on top is actually still going out. And what's happening is that your bait's going down and it's coming back towards you, so you have to make sure that you catch up to the bait. I know I just explained that, but you want to make sure that you catch up to that bait, because if you don't, you're not going to feel the bite. Like that one right there. Oh, Lordy. The monsters have arrived. Woo-hoo-hoo. I got smoked. I know what it's time for. Now, when I'm using the conventional or the regular jig head, I like GoPro start recording. I like hooking it at the top of the head. Uh-oh, oh, almost a double hookup. Come on, Tony. I think Chad's got a decent snapper on. Yep. It's funny how we can tell by the way these fish fight. We can tell if it's a snapper or grouper typically. There's a snapper. Not bad. This is exactly what's happening on this minor feeding. Look how fat that thing is. God bless America. That minor feeding time is in effect, and these fish are, the bigger fish have showed up. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. Come on, Chad. Ah, when you went back down on him. That snapper just spit up this. Not quite sure what it is, but yummy. Sushi! Bigger than I thought he was going to be. They're running, they're swimming forward. Yep. This is a snapper, it's a good one. Oh yeah.
Nice.
That's what I'm talking about. Barely got a lip hook. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's what the minor feeding does. Minor and majors. Wanted to show something that we were on the hot bite during the minor feeding time, and as soon as that minor feeding time shut off, the fish decided they wanted to not really eat live bait. They've been eating cut bait, but not live bait. So this is what I did. This is the first time I've ever done this, doing this type of fishing, is hooking them in the tail, and as soon as it gets to the bottom, they're on it. So there goes one of those things about what we say all the time: do something different. If it's not working, try something different. That was the first time I've ever tried doing it like that, and it worked. I brought up a really nice keeper snapper, and I just caught a really nice grouper. Let's see if I can do it again. Probably won't be able to. Oh God. Oh my God, wait, you hit that. I think it's a good snapper though.
Looks like one.
Yeah. Yep. He hit, I mean, it was like one of the grouper thumps when they hit the... Well, I changed up the way that I'm hooking them. Oh, he almost bit me. That's what it's about right there. Uh-oh. Did he rock you? Dang it. What?
That one tweaked me.
Did it? Uh-oh.
Took her a second.
Come on, man. Well, folks, we had a great day on the water. The bite was pretty consistent all day long. It was really, really good. We ended up with a nice box full of snapper. Look at how pretty that is. Woo-hoo-hoo.